What's up, YouTubers? PokeJediTrek's here. So today's cooking video I have for you is actually an Italian twist on a well-known Mexican food. And this recipe that I'm going to show you how to make, it's not actually my original recipe. It's actually from somebody on Facebook called Corey and Alicia. I'll put a link to the video, to their original video, in the description below. And even though they do all sorts of stuff that's pretty unprofessional when they show you how to cook, but it's actually their recipe for jumbo shell tacos, stuffed tacos. It's basically where you stuff taco fixins into two Italian-made jumbo shells. My mother and I made that for dinner on Cinco de Mayo, and they came out so good I want to share the recipe with you here on YouTube. So let's go over what we need. So to make stuffed jumbo shell tacos, you're going to need, obviously, jumbo shells. You also need cheese. You also need ground beef or ground turkey, and you'll also need taco seasoning. If you want to know how to make taco seasoning from scratch, please refer back to my cooking video on how I made it from scratch a few months ago. So let's get started. So first things first, you're going to prep your shells according to package instructions. And if they have pre-baked cooking time instructions on the thing, you need to make sure you follow those instructions, because the goal is to, remember the goal is to soften, because remember, you're trying to cook pasta, but also at the same time you're also trying to ensure that you need a stuff that you're going to be using it for stuffing all sorts of savory fixins into the shells. Alright, so the water is boiling. Now we're going to add our shells to the boiling water, and we're going to let them cook for 9 minutes. Okay. And also, every once in a while you might notice that sometimes I might put a plate over a boiling pot of water. Is because, well, if you're ever in a scenario where you don't have a lid for your saucepan, for your cooking pots and stuff, you can use a ceramic plate. You can use a ceramic microwave-safe plate to put over the container. Don't ever use paper or glass plates, because it will catch fire. Yeah. Alright, 9 minutes are up. We're going to take this. Now what we're going to do is make sure we have our colander ready. And then we're going to make sure you have the colander ready before the timer goes off. And you're going to do what I just did. And that's dump the shells into the colander strainer and let the water. And then what you're going to do is you're going to let the shells sit in the colander until they have cooled down. So yeah, you're gonna let them sit in the colander until they've cooled down. So I'd say give it about 30 minutes or so to let them cool, and you should be set. Alright, so I almost forgot to mention this, but while our shells are cooling, what you're gonna do is you're gonna prep your ground turkey. You're gonna put your ground turkey on a stove top, or your ground beef on a saucepan, and then you're gonna cook it like you normally would. Now that your taco seasoning is all prepped and done, what you're going to do is you're going to take two of your shells, and then you're going to stuff them with taco fixins and some of the cheese. So when you wrap your shells, you're gonna be careful. And then you're gonna set the shells in your air fryer, like so. And then you're gonna add more shells, and then you're gonna repeat the same with several other shells. Now I want you to keep in mind when I'm doing this, this is a very tricky process, because the entire goal when you're trying to make your when you're trying to stuff your shells is to make sure that when you stuff your taco meat and your cheese into the container, is to make sure that it's secure. Make sure it's secure on the other end. It also can be a pretty messy process too. Probably can't see it because of where the camera is, but it's a pretty messy process, I'll give you that much. And that's what you're supposed to do. Now you're going to set this in the air fryer, and then you're going to make sure it's on 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to let them cook for 15 minutes. All right, time is up. Let's open the air fryer tray, and they look like they came out pretty good. They surprisingly didn't stick to the bottom, considering that I didn't add any non-stick spray. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your tongs, because they're obviously too hot to touch with your bare hands, and then you're going to transfer them to a plate. And then you're going to let them cool before you serve them, before you dig in. So here's how they look like. Let's do it. I'm going to sample one. So this is how the final product looks like. I'm going to sample one. Ooh, these are very crunchy. Ow! Well, I'm touching my skin and my hand and it burned. This came out pretty good. So anyway, that is how to make air fried jumbo shell tacos. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time.